Hello, welcome to the next thrilling episode of Marvel Mayhem, the series where I take you through every single property Marvel has ever created for television or for the big screen, and I ask one simple question: is it worth watching? Today, we're going to be reviewing 1979's Captain America, and this was a series that was made because Universal Television at the time owned the rights to the Incredible Hulk, Captain America, the Human Torch, Namor the Submariner, and Doctor Strange. And their idea was that they were going to make television pilots and then make television series on the basis of those pilots. So they did one for The Incredible Hulk, and that got picked up. And they did one for Doctor Strange, which I reviewed, but they didn't pick up the series. And now they did not one, but two television movies for Captain America, both in 1979. The plot, such that it is a recipient of an experimental body enhancement chemical retaliates against his would-be killers as a star-spangled superhero. So it stars Rev Brown as Steve Rogers, Captain America, and Len Berman as Dr. Simon Mills. So here are my thoughts about the whole production. I've seen a lot of bad Marvel movies over the years, but this is one of the worst. Um, so I know recently people have criticized Marvel for producing far too much content that anybody could actually see, and they point to things like Secret Invasion, the television series, as being very bad, and Eternals also as being very bad. And this is bad in a completely different way. I think that it might be not only the worst Marvel film ever made, but it might be one of the worst films ever made. And unfortunately, it's not made in such a bad way that it's entertaining. It's just horribly executed, badly acted, and badly written. So, why it's strange for me is because the Doctor Strange movie had character. The Incredible Hulk movie, it works as its own kind of movie. You could have put that in cinemas, and I think people would have enjoyed it. But I put the film on, this one, the Captain America one, and within the first 2 minutes, I was already very, very bored. Um, I feel like the movie it feels like the movie was made by somebody who only had $10 to spend on the budget. The sound editing is really bad. There's a scene where Steve is talking to his friend and he's talking on a payphone that's next to the ocean, and you can hear all of the ocean sounds, like the real ocean sounds. So, if you know anything about sound editing, basically the sound that the actors are making is not always the sound that you can hear in the actual scene. And if you're filming on location and that location is by nature very loud, you need to actually remove that sound and then put in like the dialogue and then some kind of maybe more artificial sound of the ocean. It sounds strange, but I think if you heard it, you would understand why, because it's just this dull kind of like roar in the first 5 minutes, 10 minutes of the movie. And it's so bad that there's actually scenes where uh, Steve is no longer at the ocean, but you can still hear that sound. I don't know how that's possible. It's like I think maybe the actor Brett Brown did his lines at the scene in the ocean, and then they wanted to use his lines later, but it doesn't work. About that actor, Reb Brown has the charisma of a boiled potato. And I think I'm being insulting a little bit to potatoes with that line because he's just very bad at the job of being a star in a movie, which is to make the main character likable. And this is a bit of a spoiler for the next review about uh, the other Captain America movie that they made in 1979, which I think is called Time to Die or something. But anyway, in that movie, so Reb Brown was cast because he has like a really good physique to be a superhero in the 1970s. He's like really well defined. You don't see any of that in this movie. In the second movie, you see that. So, what was the point of having him in this movie if you're not gonna like show, that body? Really weird. So he gets injected with the super serum, and theoretically he has superpowers. But the only time you see it is that he jumps a little bit higher. So for a movie about a character, a superhero, there's not a lot of superpowers in this movie. Um, the costume really looks ridiculous because they were trying, I guess, to modernize it for the audience of the 1970s, but it doesn't work at all. He's got like this uh, helmet. I'll talk more about it in the other review, but it's just so bad. The shield, and the crazy thing is that this is the first Captain America movie that anybody made since the 1940s. And in the 40s, that movie had Captain America. He had a guy in the costume, but it wasn't actually Captain America. They used some other story and they implanted Captain America. Like his name's not Steve Rogers. There's no super soldier serum, nothing like that. And he doesn't have a shield. So this was the first time you could actually make a Captain America movie which was somewhat faithful to maybe not the whole details of the story, but the idea of the story, and they failed, I think, miserably because he does have a shield, but it looks like something that was made in a craft class for children. It's horrible. And the climax of the movie is that Rogers saves the day by nearly murdering a guy with poison gas and then making sure the guy is all right because um, he's attached to like a dead man switch. So if his heart stops beating, the neutron bomb will go off. And like, how, I don't know how terrorists got a neutron bomb in the middle of America, but they did. But the climax of the scene is Steve very slowly climbing into this trailer and seeing a guy who's passed out. There's no fight, there's no action, and basically he takes the guy to the doctor, and that's the end of the movie. It's really weird. So the Doctor Strange series that they didn't pick up, I think that could have been an iconic classic because it could have had like all of these weird special effects and the great music and could have been quite a vibe. But I don't know why anyone would pick up this series on the basis of this movie. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. Um, One thing that I found out by reading on Wikipedia is that Universal Television lost the rights not long after the movies were made for these characters, and the licensing fee had skyrocketed from $2,000 per episode, $2,500 per episode from Marvel for the Incredible Hulk, but for Captain America it was $50,000 per episode. And I think maybe the idea, I think I know what happened. I think that Marvel looked at what was happening in this movie and they're like, no, no, that's so crappy that if you make a TV series that crappy, we're gonna have to charge you a lot more money. I think that's what happened. I don't think that I think the rights thing was a little bit of an excuse. And while this movie was an abject failure, it did have lasting influences on the character of Captain America because in this movie, I don't know why, they just decided that Steve Rogers would be an artist. So he's like painting by the sea. So he becomes an artist in the comics and that becomes part of something that has resonance, or maybe not resonance, but a through line of the character. Also, they give him a motorcycle because he has a motorcycle in these two movies, in like a spy van kind of thing because he has a spy van kind of thing. And it's so weird that they tied all these things into Captain America because I don't think that many people really cared about this movie. They maybe saw it on television once and they were like, ugh. Let me forget about this. Let me wash my mind of this boring, very badly edited, badly produced, badly acted movie. So, how I feel is pretty clear about this movie, but what do you think? Do you think that it is the worst movie of all time? Do you think it's the worst Marvel movie of all time? Let me know in the comments. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end. No, 900 subscribers by the end of April. So if you like what I do, please leave a comment, please like, please subscribe, all of that jazz. And tune in next time when I will be reviewing the 1979 other Captain America movie, Death Too Soon, I believe it's called. All right, stick around for that.